In our last video, we reviewed how to multiply two or more fractions together. So we multiplied the numerators together to get our new numerator, and we multiply our denominators together to get our new denominator. So now that we know how to do that skill, let's use it to calculate the value of exponential expressions where the base is a fraction. We have all the tools to do it, so let's begin. Let's calculate the value of 2/3 to the fourth power. So to begin our calculation, we need to expand this exponential expression. And since our base is 2/3 and our exponent is 4, that means we're multiplying 4 2/3 together. So after we expand, our expression would look something like this. And now we're multiplying 4 fractions together. So using what we did from the last video, we're going to multiply these 2's on the top to get our numerator, and then we'll multiply the 3's on the bottom to get our denominator. So as a first step, it looks something like this. And now we just have to evaluate the top and the bottom to get our final answer. So let's begin this calculation. So for the numerator, we have to multiply the 4 2's, and for the denominator, we have to multiply the 4 3's. And we have extra copies of each so we could show the work. So now, let's start with getting the numerator, which is multiplying the 4 2's together. We're going to use the associative property to group the first 2 2's together, and then the last 2 2's together. And we know that the product of 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to replace these groups of 2 with their product of 4. And now we're just multiplying 4 times 4 together. And we know 4 times 4 equals 16. So that means our numerator is equal to 16. For the denominator, we're going to multiply the 4 3's together. And just like we did with the 4 2's, we're going to group the first 2 3's together, and then we'll group the last 2 3's together. And since we know that 3 times 3 equals 9, we're going to replace these groups of 3 with their products of 9. So we have 9 times 9. And we know that 9 times 9 equals 81. So that means our denominator is 81. So all of this here evaluates to 16 over 81. So that means that 2/3 to the fourth power equals 16 over 81. And we are done. Now let's calculate the value of 5/4 to the third power. And let's expand this expression as our first step. Since our base is 5/4 and our exponent is 3, that means we're multiplying 3 5/4 together. So after we expand the expression, it looks something like this. And now we're multiplying 3 fractions together. So we need to multiply the 5's on top to get our numerator, and then we multiply the 4's on the bottom to get our denominator. So after we do that step, it looks something like this. So if we calculate the product of these 3 5's, we'll get our numerator. And then if we calculate the product of these 3 4's, we'll get our denominator. So let's do those calculations down here. So let's switch colors. So to get our numerator, we know we have to multiply those 3 5's together. And let's bring out another copy to show some of the work. We'll use the associative property and we'll group the first 2 5's together. Now we know that 5 times 5 equals 25, so we will replace this group of 5's with its product of 25. So now we have 25 times 5. Let me get that here. And now all we have to do is we have to multiply 25 and 5 together. So 25 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, so we carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So that means the product of 3 5's is 125. And that means that gets us our numerator. So our numerator is 125. Now to switch colors for the denominator, we know we have to multiply those 3 4s together. And we have another copy of them just like we did with the 3 5s. So now we're going to use the associative property again and group the first 2 4s together. We know that 4 times 4 equals 16. So we're going to replace this group of 4s with the product of 16. So now we have 16 times 4. And now we just have to multiply 16 and 4 together. So 4 times 6 is 24, so we carried the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 equals 6. So this is equal to 64. The product of 4 3s of 3 4s is 64, so that means our denominator is 64. So all of this here evaluates to 125 over 64. And so 5/4 to the third power equals 125 over 64. And we are done. In this video, we calculate the exponential expressions of 2/3 to the fourth power and 5/4 to the third power. So 2/3 to the fourth power ended up being 16 over 81, and 5/4 to the third power ended up being 125 over 64. So now that we are finished with fractions, let's do the same thing for decimals. And we'll do this over the next couple videos, so I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.